I'm Renee Cordes with The Deal in Brussels, speaking today with European Commission Vice President Maroš Sefcovic, responsible for Energy Union. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
First of all, the renewable package you promised for next year. What can we expect from it?
That we just started the public consultation, which would run for a couple of weeks, but our aim is to present the renewable package together with a new electricity market design and also together with new proposals on how the powers of agency for coordination of European regulators, the ACERs, should be improved. So that would be the package which we want to present in the autumn. And of course, the major goal there is to adapt our renewables directive to the outcome of Paris talks and also to that headline goal which was approved by all heads of states and government, meaning that by 2030 we should produce in Europe at least 20% of our energy by renewables. That's the binding target, but for the whole EU. So we just need to present this revised directive to actually reflect those decisions and present a legislative proposal.
Okay. Now, in the EU's future energy mix, is there any role you see for diesel? Because, of course, it's low on CO2 emissions, but it emits other pollutants.
Yeah, I think with diesel, of course, now we have a very difficult debate going on when we are communicating with our car manufacturers and trying to get into the bottom of their investigation. Sure. So we can, of course, adjust our policies, how pollutant really these cars is, because as you rightly pointed out, I mean, we recorded some success in CO2 emissions reduction by these engines, but at the same time, the NOx is a bit kind of overlooked. And therefore, we are now assessing what is the real difference between the lab tests and with the real emissions driving tests, which we are introducing as of next year. And of course, we are going to make the limits for the engines from this real emission, real drive test much more stringent than before. And I think it would be really up to the diesel car manufacturers to prove that also under these much stricter conditions they can produce effective and efficient engines, because really we've been kind of caught by surprise about the negative results we discovered over the last few weeks.
Okay. Now, one of your main policy goals, of course, is energy security in Europe. You have some concerns about the Nordstream II gas pipeline. What can you do about it?
I think the first thing which we highlighted from the beginning is that for such a project, it's quite clear that if they're built in Europe, they must fully respect the EU law, public procurement, all the laws regarding the operation of the big energy companies in Europe, all the environmental legislation, and this is how we are assessing the project. I have to also say that this is a project which became politically very sensitive because of implication or consequences the build-up of such infrastructure could have on the transit routes through Ukraine. And yesterday I received the letters from several European member states which are also raising the concerns in the area of energy security. So it's quite clear that we need to have the debate between the Commissioner and the German regulator on full and correct application of the EU law, but also we need also to debate the energy security aspects of this project, because I remember very well my discussion with the foreign ministers from June of this year, where they unanimously highlighted the importance of preservation of the transit routes through Ukraine.
And if they don't respect all the EU rules on procurement and such, would you recommend holding back funding, EU funding, or?
I think we already stated it very clearly in the State of the Energy Union report that for us, as a, I would say, primary goal in securing energy security in Europe is diversification of sources, of routes, of supplier, and this project doesn't fall into that category, so I cannot imagine that this project would be funded by the EU or would be recognized as a project of the common interest, because the list of which we approved just 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Now, A number of EU countries are very protective, understandably so, of their prized utilities when foreign investors come knocking on their doors. What is your message to prospective investors thinking about putting money into Europe's energy sector?
My message is very simple. Please come and invest and respect our rules as we respect your rules, where we are coming and investing in your markets and in your economies. It's true that mostly because of the crisis, there are some sectors in Europe which are underinvested. I would say primarily I'm speaking about the energy, transport and ICT infrastructure. Okay. Therefore, we adopted the new procedures, but also new list of priority projects for these three areas. And therefore, we also want to help the investors to kind of overcome the hesitation they might have if this is kind of a borderline project, or if they're still hesitant about the commercial viability of this project. And we want to help them through the Juncker Investment Fund. I mean that if you want to invest, if you have a doubt, and if the project is considered as a priority or important for the European economy, we are ready to go in that project with you. With the help of EIB, with the help of Juncker Investment Fund, and we are just doing our utmost to restore normal investors' climate in Europe, because still we see that level of the investment is lower than we had it in a pre-crisis level, and we are trying to do everything possible to make sure that the investors would invest more and would invest in promising projects for the future in Europe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. For The Deal in Brussels, I'm Renee Cordes.